Coming at you, episode 4 of drafting a championship team around X player in your fantasy football drafts. Video 1, we did Christian McCaffrey. Video 2, Tyreek Hill. Video 3, CeeDee Lamb. This video is going to be Justin Jefferson. His ADP is 4. I don't know if I draft him 4, but with the uncertainty around Jamar Chase, some people are saying he might have to be 4. So what we're going to do, again, is we're going to draft a team that we think can win you a championship around Justin Jefferson. Again, some of the rules here. Roster, pretty normal. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex, kicker, defense, bench. It's going to be half PPR. So again, keep those the roster makeups and the scoring in mind, because obviously it's going to change whether it's half PPR, standard, full PPR, stuff like that. So again, this is half PPR. We're building around Justin Jefferson. We're building a championship team, and we will start right now. So we take Justin Jefferson, bona fide wide receiver 1. Don't even have to worry about him. Plug and play every single day. Interesting little run of running backs there. And now, okay. So it looks like Derrick Henry went a little earlier than when we were able to take him with CeeDee Lamb, but that was at the expense of Puka Nacua falling to us. So for me, Puka Nacua, questionable. Obviously, you can see he returned to practice. I have no problem with that. I think Puka's a great pick. He obviously had a fantastic year last year. Numbers dipped a little bit here, but I mean, they came right back to form here and looked pretty good in the playoffs. Don't think his playoff logs are here, but beside the point, he's a great wide receiver. You know, usually I like to go. I don't think you go running backs early, or I think running back in really rounds 5 to 7 is not a great rounds for running back, but it is a good round for wide receivers. So usually I'd say let's do 1 and 1, so you have some flexibility later. But here, Puka Nacua is available. I like him more than Kyron Williams. I don't want to take quarterback in the first 2 rounds ever. I like him more than Drake London, Devontae, Chris Olave. So for me, I think he's a great guy. I think if he falls, you have to take him. You have to not question it. And we're going to take Puka Nacua. 2 great wide receivers. Obviously, both have the week 6 bye. One way of looking at that is to obviously panic. The way I look at it is outside of week 6, you get them for every single week of the season. So I'm not too worried about that. So then we go to round 3. Devon Achane, Josh Jacobs, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Sam Laporte on the board. Obviously, when we did CeeDee Lamb, we took Lamb running back, and then we took Kelce. And I can kind of hear a 0 running back strategy by taking Kelce here. But for me, I think you do need to take a running back here. You need at least 1. I think you can supplement your running back core a lot in the later rounds. But I do think that you need at least 1 before the 4th. Because I don't think they're strong enough in the later rounds. So for this, I've talked about A-Chain. He has to regress. I mean, he just has to. I know people love him, but I mean, let's be real here. 7.7 yards per carry, that's coming down. Some of those monster games he had, I know he didn't play 203 yards in a game. It's not going to happen again, especially not at 18 carries. Just some of the it's just not sustainable. Josh Jacobs, I don't trust him in the Packers offense. He's not a pass catcher as well. So why are we expecting him to put up Aaron Jones stats? So for me, I think the pick is Pacheco here in a great Chiefs offense. So we have our first running back now. 2 great wide receivers, good running back as well. And we come to the 4th round, and we'll see who's available for us, and we got options. Obviously, Jalen Waddle is at the top of the board. Lamar Jackson, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, Joe Mixon. Now, here's how I look at this, and we took Justin Jefferson and Puka Nacua. Great wide receivers, don't need anybody else, right? And you have Lamar Jackson there, and he could be a sexy pick. He could be a really sexy pick, but DJ Moore doesn't faze me. Cooper Kupp, I'm against having 2 guys on the same team. He's a great player, but I don't know. DK Metcalf, good. Malik Neighbors, good. I think Jalen Waddle's the best one here. I really do. I understand he's questionable, but it's a no-contact injury. I think he's a game breaker. He can go nuts whenever he wants. He was wide receiver 32 last year. If you have any questions about the Rams offense with Matthew Stafford or the injuries, you can kind of have uh, some reliability on that, but you're not too overexposed on that. I think he's the best player. I will have, obviously a lot of people are going to tell me buy 6, week buy 6. I don't like that. Pacheco is buy 6 as well. Again, what I would say is you want to have your guys done this season. You do. Jamar Chase week 12. That can really hurt you depending on how your hunt is. Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs week 14. That will kill you. Derrick Henry week 14. Brees Hall week 12. Those will kill you when you need to win a game. Week 6 really won't kill you. And again, when week 6 passes, Pacheco, Jefferson, Nakua, Waddle, you're going to have them the entire season. So for me, I think it's best available because I think you can get a running back in the later rounds. This next upcoming round, I think one of those guys will fall. So let's go Jalen Waddle. Let's put caution in the wind, and let's see how we work ourselves back in round 5. And it works back perfectly like I thought. Joe Mixon is going to fall a little bit. Kenneth Walker is going to fall a little bit. I think here is where he can really get nasty, right? You have 3 nasty wide receivers. Jalen Waddle's wide receiver 3 is incredible. Anybody will say that. And now you can get a Joe Mixon or a Alvin Kamara running back 2. Again, I don't trust Walker. So it just becomes who do you trust? And I think Houston in a weak division is going to run the ball a lot. I think they're going to pass it to Joe Mixon a decent amount too. I think he's a very underrated player. Say what you will about him off the field, but he's a great player. Also doesn't have a bye week in week 6. He has a bye week in week 14. I know I did just say that you don't like having those late buys, but again, with all those players that are going to be available, I'm not too worried about that. So I think the best pick here is Joe Mixon. And although you have a ton of week 6 buys, right? At the end of the day, you have 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, all studs. You got to feel good about that. So as it comes down to round 6, it falls perfectly again for one of the things I was trying to do, and that is the boy Aaron Jones. Now again, he is by 6, so maybe you don't go with him at the bye week 6, but he's an incredible player. I think you can get some other running backs later, but he's an absolute stud. He's going to do great things because of the bye week 6. Maybe you look at Amari Cooper, and I think this is a great pick here. You look at his PPR finishes the last couple of years: 20, 10, 27, 15, 10, 19. We're drafting as a wide receiver 4. He's going to be a flex play. I think he's a great play for you. Again, he doesn't have that vaunted by 6, so that's going to help you too. I think he's a great option. He's a great safety blanket. He's been good no matter who's at quarterback, so we're going to pick Amari Cooper there. And a quick turnaround before round 7 here, and round 7 is here. And here we are. And look at that. Nobody in the top ADPs is around 6 buys. So that's a good start. And when I talked, I said, I don't like loading up on our receiver early because there is a lot of strength in wide receiver in round 7. Again, you're seeing Terry McLaurin is there. Keenan Allen, I'm not completely sold on, but he's there. Christian Kirk. Other wide receivers are there. Romo Dunze, Jaden Reed, they're a little further. Don't know if I buy in them, but there is talent there. So now you got 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs. Probably thinking, need a running back here. And I think you absolutely can take one here. But the question becomes, do you take a running back or do you take George Kittle, who is a bona fide playmaker? And I think the pick here is to take George Kittle. I think he is the last of the really good tight ends. Evan Ingram, I do not trust, especially with more powers there on the receiving core. Brock Bowers, don't trust. Jake Ferguson, he's a solid guy. David Njoku are solid, but they're not at George Kittle ranges. So I think George Kittle's the guy you take here. You take best available. You do have running backs, do have wide receivers. You're really set on wide receivers the rest of the draft if you want to. Running back's really your only problem. I think you get running back later. I think you go George Kittle here. So with George Kittle in the 7th round, now we wait till the wraparound at the 8th. Have to wait a little longer, but usually somebody's fallen. Terry McLaurin's still falling. There he goes. But we are up in the 8th round. And would you look at that? There are still some good running backs and good wide receivers. Again, I talked about the wide receivers. You can wait on them. Chris Godwin's there. He's a stud. Calvin Ridley, Rashee Rice. You got some studs there. Jordan Addison. And here, A lot of people are down on him. A lot of people are down on Zamir White. I don't care. I'm taking him. I know his stats haven't been great, but you look at those last 4 weeks. He did all right. And I think this team is going to be very bad. I understand that. But everybody's writing him off. Nobody's even thinking about him. He does get a little bit of passing work there. I like that. And I think they're going to have to lean on the guys who have talent, especially if they get rid of Devontae Adams. They're going to have to lean on their playmakers. I think Zamir White can be a playmaker for him. I think he will be a playmaker for him. And I think he's a great value this late in the draft. So we're going to take Zamir White and Chubb went right after. That was the guy I was going to try to snag on the 9th round. But we'll make it through. So 9th round now. Top available options: Evan Ingram, Xavier Worthy, Jordan Love, Brock Bowers, Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, Ladin McConkey, Zach Moss, Javonte Williams. I think the answer's right there. I think it's Javonte Williams. He's going to be the starting running back. It looks like, I understand the hesitation, but he's a good player. He's a great player. And just last year, everybody was saying he's a sleeper pick. Now all of a sudden he's a bad pick. I don't understand that. I think at this point in the draft, having 3 running backs, it's definitely good to have a 4th. I think that helps shore up your running back room. And I think you don't have to worry about going a little early on him. Because guess what? If you miss at this point, it's not that bad. But if you hit, that's a big time hit. So now we go on to the 10th round, and we're going to the twilight hours of this draft. And here we are in round 10. And the first 5 are all quarterbacks and tight ends. And right here, you don't have a quarterback. We've taken Love a lot, so let's go with Brock Purdy, right? He's a game manager, I understand that, but he's a very good one at that. He's on a very good team. He's in a division that is good, so they should push that team a little bit more, but he's a good player. You need quarterback. Now's a great one to take one. Rounds 9 to 12 are great rounds for quarterbacks, so we'll take Brown Purdy in the 10th. And in the 11th, it has come around to us again. Not much has changed. A lot of quarterbacks are off the board, but you still have all those running backs and wide receivers you're looking for. And you're looking at this team starting lineup is all filled out. You have 4 running backs. You have 4 wide receivers. You're sitting pretty here. And I think you can definitely start looking at wide receiver again or running back. For me, we've talked about him. He's an absolute stud. I think this is where you take a running back. I think this is where you take Ezekiel Elliott again. Again, running back 1 for a very good offense. How is that not worthy of a running back 5 or ADP of about 110? I just don't understand that. So we will take Ezekiel Elliott in the 11th round, and we will see what the draft has for us in the 12th round, and I would be willing to bet you our guy comes back to us, and he does. We only have 4 wide receivers, but I think, again, I've talked about him ad nauseum. TJ Hawkinson, man, he's probably going to miss. Well, we know he's going to miss the first 4 games because of the pup. Look at week 5. He's playing the Jets. That's a tough team to come back against. Good defense. They're headhunters. So they'll probably rest him until after the bye week 6. But he's going to be back ready to go week 7. And he does not have a bye during any of the fantasy playoffs or any of the weeks right up to the fantasy playoffs. So I think he's an absolute stud. He's a game changer. And at this point, that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for lotteries. You're looking for darts. He's a game changer. So why not take him right there? So we'll take Hawkinson in the 12th. And the 13th round, again, looking for game changers, looking for darts at a board. Board chooses Cortland Sutton, Curtis Samuel, Romeo Doubs, Justin Herbert, Khalil Shakir, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Charbonnet, Komet Dobbins, then a bunch of kickers and lower ADP guys. For me, I'm going Cortland Sutton. I know he's had a tough run with quarterbacks and this and that, but played 16, 15, and 17 games the last 3 years. PPR finished 35, 43, 44. He had 10 touchdowns last year. That was huge. I don't know if that'll be able to be replicated, but he's got a full season under the tutelage of the new head coach, Sean Payton, who was there obviously last year, but a full off season and all that good stuff. Again, he's a wide receiver 5. I think you do a heck of a lot worse. You have 2, 4, 5 running backs. You have 2 tight ends. You have a quarterback. I don't think you really need anything else. I think you'd feel good about taking the best guy available there and walking into the sunset. So 2 picks left here. We'll see how round 14 goes. And obviously there go the kickers. CPU always does. And we have 2 rounds left. Khalil Shakir still at the top of the board. Cole Kmet, but we won't be taking a third tight end for sure. Jacoby Myers, Joshua Palmer, Rico Dowdle, all these guys. There's not a lot here. Again, Tyler Algier is one of those guys that I'd look at. We can definitely wait on him, though. No point to take him early. For me, it's really tough because do you take the handcuff of Ezekiel Elliott thinking, what if he gets hurt? But then you got to question, what if Dallas brings somebody in like a Dalvin Cook to be the 1A, 1B with Elliott, right? And that's very likely. So does Rico Dowdle give you much there? Probably not, right? Probably not. Ty Chandler, does he give you anything? Really, he's just a handcuff. And even if he does play, does he give you a ton, even if Aaron Jones is out? Probably not. So, I'm not sold by a lot of running backs here. I think even though you have a lot of good wide receivers, I think go wide receiver here. Obviously, I've talked about Jacoby Myers being good, being very good, being a sleeper. But to shake it up, we'll go Khalil Shakir just because they have so many more targets to go around with Diggs out of there. And so we'll take him in the 14th round. And in the 15th, we'll go down to my guy, Tyler Algier. Obviously, I love him to death. I will love him till he retires. He's a fantastic player, 1,000 rushing yards in his rookie year. What more do I have to say? So without further ado, our draft in the championship team around Justin Jefferson at 4. We took Jefferson at 4 in the first, Puka Nacua and Pacheco in the second and third, Waddle and Mixon in the 4th and 5th, Cooper and Kittle in the 6th and 7th, Zamir White and Javonte Williams in 8th and 9th, Purdy and Elliott in 10th and 11th, Hawkinson and Sutton in 12th and 13th, and Shakir and Algier in 14th and 15th. And again, look at that starting roster. Your running backs are a little weak. We understand that, but your wide receivers hit home, your tight end hit home. Even if your running backs aren't great, right? You look at this, you have 2, you're going to plug and play Jefferson Nacua, you're going to plug and play Waddle. You're probably going to plug and play Amari Cooper. Even if you don't, you're going to plug and play Kittle. When TJ Hawkinson comes back, you can plug and play him in the flex. So you really only need enough running backs for these top 2 spots because the 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, and the tight ends you have covered. So out of everything, again, running backs are a little weak, but you do have some help there at the end with Ezekiel Elliott, Javonte, and Zamir White. And you have a lot of plug and plays here, and that's great. That's what you need to win a championship. You just can't have duds. With Brock Purdy at the forefront, you're not going to get any horrible performances from him usually. So, that's another championship roster. This one with Justin Jefferson. Our next episode will be with the guy you see at Team 5 right now, Jamar Chase. Tune in for that episode again. Like, subscribe, tell us who do you agree with, who do you not, and what draft pick are you going to be looking at, and who's your steal, who's your faller? Tell us all that and more.